Mic check, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Me no, I'm back. I know y'all missed me. Listen, so I'm so excited to film this video. I haven't filmed in a while, and it's literally been such a long time coming. Today is a random Tuesday. My day offs are usually on Wednesdays, but we have like my cousin helping us out, so they didn't need me this morning. So I just got lucky and I had some time off. So I got out of the coffee shop. I was like, I'm gonna record this video. I have to do it, and I'm finally here. I'm finally back. Yeah, I also I'm dressed up. That's the thing about my videos now. I think I want to dress up for all of them. Last time I recorded a video was maybe back in October or something like that, and I did dress up, but the video was complete shit. I filmed it around like 6 o'clock. I had lost sunlight. My phone ran out of storage. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Also, I have my own pair of mics now. If you remember from my first video, I was using my brother's mics for like the first three videos that I did, but I have my mics. And if you're a real one, you've seen these before. I use them all the time. They are the Anchor Work mics. People have asked me, but I forget to like reply to people. But yeah, they are the Anchor Work mics. But anyways, I'm a little nervous. I haven't recorded in a while. There is a couple things I want to talk about. First, let me update you guys. So right now, I am still working, but I am also taking Law Roach's styling class on image architecture, which has been pretty fun. I've been learning a lot. It is one of those things where you have to like teach yourself, kind of. Like it's not very one-on-one. It's like an online course. I've never done an online course, so like obviously it's a bit different for me, but it's yeah, you just like go in and like read the work and then do the work, and there's a couple videos and I've been taking a lot of notes. So hopefully it ends up in something. I did see a couple interviews with Law in them, and he was talking about how they guarantee you a job at the end of the course, which I've been very skeptical about, but I hope it happens. I don't know. I feel something shifted in 2025 for me. So I feel something is coming, maybe or perhaps, I don't know. What else is there to talk about? There's a lot to talk about. I'm kind of nervous to talk about because I usually don't talk about other people on my videos, or like I try not to get too personal, but with these longer form videos, I feel like, well, first of all, this idea of doing this was to journal kind of visually. For a long time, I've done these like videos where I set up my phone just like this and I just kind of talk to the camera and I talk to myself basically about like what I'm up to and everything like that. And after a while, I just stopped doing that. And I thought it would be a good idea to like do that, but like for YouTube. And so that's where this whole journaling, Abram has nothing to say kind of videos were born. And I say all that to say is that like these kind of videos are going to be a bit more personal. I think on my social media, I'm not as personal. I'm more of a persona, I guess. And like these videos are a lot more deep, I guess, in a way, and a lot more personal. Me take a shot every time I've said personal. But anyways, so yeah, first thing I want to talk about. Listen, I find it interesting how certain people deal with friendships and how certain people are friends and the way that they show that. I think my way of showing love and respect in a friendship has always kind of been above and beyond for everybody. And that is almost never reciprocated. I think a lot of friendships too have sort of ended or died on their own, and I've done nothing to resurrect them. I've done no sort of CPR. I've done nothing to like keep them alive because I don't want to. And I don't want to because when I look back at certain friendships, I realize how one-sided they were and how most of the time conversations would be them going, I did this, I did that, me, and it just wasn't ever about me. Like, I really was never like, "Oh," and if I ever did talk about myself, it was always in segments of, like, 3 seconds of, like, "Oh, yeah, like this," and then that's it. They never would question or, like, try to get more out of me or try to make the conversation about the both of us. It was always kind of one-sided, and naturally, that was very tiring, and it just, like looking back, I was like, "I'm good." I'm good, and it's not that I don't miss those people, but at the same time, it's like I want friendships where it's both sides are equal, and if I don't have friendships like that, then I just won't have any at all, and I'm okay with that. I think if like right now, just in my life, I want to get somewhere. I want to do something with my life. I want to become someone. I'm not too worried about people being there or not. I think that's also another interesting thing about life is like certain people that you thought would be there for your milestones and for all of the dreams that you talk to them about aren't there for you and they're not going to be there for you. And that's a weird thing to sort of digest. And I try one of my coping mechanisms is to not think about things that make me sad. So certain things I just won't even think about. I'm just like I don't even think about it, but when you truly sit down with it and you do think about it, it is very depressing because you swore at one point that this was like the ultimate friendship and that this was like the ultimate and I guess and it doesn't turn out to be like that. And life will throw curveballs at you. And like I said, I'm like, no, I don't want to save this. I don't want to save it because there's nothing for me in it anymore. And I say that because I there's this one friend in particular, we were really close and I did so much for her and I really went above and beyond for her. And it ended in like a text message about like I don't have anything else to say to you, and that was it. And sort of everything that I did was thrown out the trash in a heartbeat, and that was really unfair to me. And I didn't have the courage in me to stand up for myself and to be like, point this out and be like, hey, I was there for you when your own parents weren't there for you, and I was there for you when your blood family wasn't, and I went above and beyond for you. I always traveled to you. And like I gave you a job. Like I there's just so many things that I did for that person that were just sort of flicked like a little bean, like, oh, like just made whatever. And I can't like you can't force people to see certain things. You know what I mean? Like if I have to go above and beyond and like jump over hoops to try to show you something, I'm not showing you it. Like, it's one of those things you either see or you don't, and that's one thing that I've found in my personal life to be very overwhelming. The fact that I even my mom, there was one point where I had to literally, like, go off on her because she wasn't trying to, like, help me out with something, and I was like, "Ma'am, I've literally gone broke to give you a birthday present." Like, I've literally done so much, and sometimes it's just not fair. I think, like I'm like, "I don't get it, like, how can't you see that I've done so much for you? Like, where did it all go?" You know what I mean? Like, did you just forget or did you not see that I was doing so much for you? Like, it's very frustrating, but and isolating too because you also feel like no one does it for you. Like, thankfully, right now, I can think of, like, 2 friendships that I have where the only 2 friendships that I have, literally the only 2 friendships that I have because I literally don't talk to anyone else, and I used to be, like, a very social person, a very social butterfly, like, talking here, talking there, and, like, everything like that, and now, I'm not, and I like I said, I can think of 2 friendships that feel equal right now that I feel like I pour into them the same way they pour into me. And that's about it. That's literally about it. And too, like I just recently made a friend, she's an artist. And for me, I've always wished people would show up for me the way I've shown up for people. So I will continue to show up for people, even if I don't even know them like that. Like I said, this friend, We met through a mutual friend, and she's cool. She does art and stuff, and she had an art exhibit. And then I went to go see her. Like it was pouring. I really didn't want to drive, but I feel like it's very important to show up for people and to be there for people in like little moments like that. Like she had, I think it was her first exhibit, and she had like two pieces of art or three hanging, and I was congratulated her. Just went, showed up, whatever. And I think that's so important to like show up for people. And I think personally in my life, people haven't really shown up for me. I hate to talk about this event. Like I literally hate to even think about it. Like I said, sometimes when things make me sad, I really try to avoid thinking about them. But for my 20th or 21st. Think it was 20th. I think it was my 20th birthday. I had always envisioned as a kid to have like a Great Gatsby themed birthday, 20th birthday, you know what I mean? And I had like planned like this whole thing. It was very hectic, and I planned out like this big venue, and like I invited so many people, and I think like 15 people showed up, and like I had it was so sad. It was such a sad time in my life. Um to see that, like, not a lot of people showed up. I mean, at the time, my, like, immediate friend group showed up, but other than that, no one else really did. And, I think that was really a turning point in my life. I think if I ever had a movie made about me, that would have to be in it, because that unfortunately was really a pivotal moment in my life where I realized that I was probably gonna be alone for a while, and I didn't really want to. I think, before that, I had in mind of I had this, like, vision of having a lot of friends and being with a bunch of people at a time, and having friends here and having friends there and friends, 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 and then after that, I was like, "You know what? No, I'd rather be alone." And I think I'd rather put more time into my family and stuff, because even my mom, like, for weeks, she had been helping me and buying me stuff. And not only that, but she also, like, dressed up and everything, and, like, got her little dress off of Amazon and her pearls, and she was so cute. But yeah, I don't know. After that, I was like, "You know what? No." And I one of my friends always brings it up, and I literally tell her not to, because I hate thinking about it, because it's so depressing, and those like it's like such a bad time in my life. But anywho, all of that to say, friendships to me just don't mean as much anymore to me, and I wish I had more energy in me to like go and try to salvage them. But I need to move on. I have a lot of things that I really wanna do with my life, and I can't be focused, or I can't reel in my energy to people that I just feel like aren't giving me any energy back. I really in my life right now, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I have things to do. And I have dreams and aspirations that I want to accomplish. And so a lot of those things are my priority right now, in my family. And I don't know, I just can't find it in me to text people and be like, "Hey, let's hang out," because for a long time, it was always me. I was always, like, doing the most for other people, and then they gave me scraps, and then I would, like, go and get on my knees and grab them, you know what I mean? But I'm over it. I'm over it. Let's let's steer the wheels, or let's steer the I don't know, girl. Anyways, but let's change subjects, and there's this other thing that I really wanna talk about, and it's really weird. It's a really weird concept to grasp. I think some people, I don't know if people are gonna get offended by it, but it's weird. I recognize that it's weird, and there's just a lot that goes into this lore, I guess, and, like, this subject. But okay, let me get into it. So I come from a pretty good family. I'm just gonna say it like that. A pretty good, like, immediate family. Mom and dad get along. Mom and dad are together. They've had their rough patches or whatever, but they're still together. I have a good brothers. I have two brothers. They're pretty good. We all get along. We still all live in the same house. My older brother's about to turn 25, I think, and he still lives with us. Like we have a pretty harmonious relationship amongst us. We have our arguments, obviously, like everyone else, but for the most part, we're like pretty good family, and also economically, financially, we're pretty well off, thank God, but that's because my dad and my parents have worked their asses off for it. Like, that's the thing too, a lot of people don't realize is that my parents have worked their asses off. I mean, they've sacrificed so much and they've put so much work. And my dad at times has even worked for free to be able to be at the place that he is now. And we are very blessed. Like, and this is important to the context of what I'm about to talk about, but they are very well off and we're fine. We're good as a family relationship wise, and also financially we are pretty well off, or they're pretty well off. I'm broke most of the time, but that's besides the point. With that, when people find that out, or like people know that, right? There's always a weird energy about it, and it's stuff that has happened over the years, and recently over the weekend something happened to sort of trigger this train of thought. But people at times take that and they sort of question me, or almost make me feel guilt for my privilege. And what I mean by that is that over the years, people have pointed my family and my finance and their because I always say it. My parents are well off. Like, that's their money. I have my money barely, and I have my car, a 2025. Like, I that's my money though. Like, their money is their money, and like that's why I always say they're well off because that's them and what they've worked for. But I mean, obviously, as their son, I benefit from that. So, but yeah, like I said, that's their money. And a lot of people have in the past, my friends or like people in general have pointed it out. And there's always a weird sense of, I don't want to say jealousy or envious. There's like an envious nature about it, but there is a weird sort of like blame and dynamic where they are questioning my privilege, or like they often say like, how is it that you're so well off, like why can't I be like that, or why can't I have your family? Like, notoriously, one time my cousin, she was drunk out of her ass. I don't talk to her anymore, but I think she was drugged, I don't know, but she was off the hooks or whatever. And she was like, um, "You have such a great relationship with your mom and you don't even realize you're privileged. Like, I wish I had a mom like that. Like, you don't deserve her. You don't appreciate her," and blah blah blah. And like she was just going off and like basically just showing me that she wishes she had what I had. And it wasn't the first time. There's been friends in the past that have hinted at it, and often too, like it's a weird sense of like, why do you get it and I don't? And it makes me feel guilty in a way for the privileges and the family and the blessings, I guess, that I have. Um, because I this is the thing too, like my whole life up until I think it was high school, that I realized that my family was a little well off, better than most people. Because obviously when you're a kid, you live in your own little bubble, the bubble that you grew up in, and you know nothing else. And I grew up in and out of private school, and it wasn't until the first time I went to public school, when I was in high school and I drove the bus. I think it was the first day of like everybody getting dropped off. And everybody gets dropped off and like whatever. And I think we were one of the first ones to get dropped off, me and my brothers. And so obviously the bus was pretty full. And they stopped at my neighborhood, at the end of my neighborhood, and all the children on the bus sort of gasp. And then they're like, the suburbs. And mind you, at this time, I literally didn't know what the suburbs meant. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that all the kids were, "Oh, they rich," or, "Oh, the suburbs, they live in the suburbs," and everyone was sort of staring at us, like, getting dropped off at our neighborhood, and that was the first time I realized that I was a little privileged, or a little more well off than other people. And at the time, I would visit my friends, the friends that I had at the time, in their houses and like their households. And it was just very different. And never even realized how blessed I was until that moment. I was like, oh, wow, like, yeah, like, I guess we are pretty well off. And again, with that comes that sort of sense of guilt and, like, when people bring up, like, my family and my parents and, like, how blessed I am to have them and, like, it almost at times feels like an attack. It's almost like, "Oh, you have this, you have that," and it's like it's just such a weird relationship and dynamic to navigate with other people because obviously you're kind of in between the line of are they envious of me? Are they jealous of what I have? And how do I navigate that? Is it a bad jealousy or should well, I mean, I think you should always have compassion for people, obviously. And I do, and I feel for them, but it's also what do I do with that dynamic? What do I do with that relationship? What do I do with this privilege? And also, it also comes in a way where I feel a lot more pressure to do well in my life because it seems like everybody around me is like pointing out the fact that I already am blessed and I already to a certain point have good parents and a good relationship that I should do nothing but well. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's a weird and it's also even as I'm talking about it, it feels weird to even complain about it or like to even talk about it because it feels as if I shouldn't be complaining about it and I'm not complaining. I'm just talking about it because I do feel like it's a weird sort of thing to navigate. And like when people are telling you, why is your life so much better than mine? Why are your parents so much better than mine? You didn't have to go through half of the shit that I went through. And when you do try to give those kinds of people advice on how they should try and navigate their own baggage and everything like that, they don't take you seriously because of the privilege that you have and because of the life you live. And that again is just a strange dynamic to navigate. It's how do you deal with the pressure of that? I don't it's weird and I again it didn't really stick with me or I didn't really have this train of thought until something that happened this weekend where again it was just an outburst of like you have it so much better than I do, and I don't have half of what you have, and it again, weird, just weird, and I don't know how to deal with it, um, except be grateful, and that's the thing, like, I when people say, "Oh, you don't have baggage," or "You have it so easy," and all this, I've put in my own work. That's the thing too, like, okay, yes, I have all of these, like, good things and, like, a good family and everything like that, but I've put in my own work into myself into where I spent so much time alone, I spent so much time journaling, I spent so much time creating art, I spent so much time in my own head trying to dissect my own trauma because, yes, I still have trauma, and yes, it's still valid to have the trauma that I do have, like, my parents aren't perfect, my family is not perfect, and we've had our own struggles, and I've had my own way of dealing with that, and I think they see this very confident person. They see the outcome, they don't see the work, they don't see the input, and again, I've put in a lot of work on myself to try and navigate through these feelings and through, like, my own trauma and my own emotions to become a better version of myself, like, I am not this version of myself because of, like, the good family and everything like that, although it does play into it. But again, they're not perfect. They've hurt me too, and like my brothers have, and I've hurt them, and it's all this very like complicated family dynamic. But at the end of the day, I've put in the work, and so have they, and that's really important too. Like my parents have put in work to change and like to like be better people, and so have I. Like it's not, it just doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. And I think if you spend too much time pitying yourself, you end up being a shell of a man. And that's the thing too, like, there is stuff in my life that have happened and that I could sit here and just pity and pity and pity and sit and just be sad about it all the time, but I've put in the work, even down to the way that I look. I've put in the work too, because a lot of people bring that up sometimes too, where, oh, like, just and again, this is another thing I really want to talk about that is also kind of strange to think about, and sort of navigate through. The other day, and I hate to even say this because it's just a weird thing. There was someone in my house, and my aunt came over, and she looked at them, and then she looked at me, and then she looked at my mom, and then she was like, nada que ver este con ellos, ¿verdad? And basically, what that translates to is he has nothing to do with them, right? In essence, she was just saying that I'm so much better looking than the other person that was in the room. And that too is a weird thing and I didn't like that. I didn't like that she said that because she put and the other person was right there. And I'm like, that's just not I don't like that. I don't again, it's been brought up by like multiple people where they're like they think that I look better than them and then they say things that are like not passive aggressive but just like, "Oh, like, you look so much better than me," like, kind of, like, hinting at the fact that they feel better about me than they feel about themselves, and that's also it's just not a good feeling when someone puts themselves down to give me some sort of praise, and I don't like it, I don't like it, it's so weird. And again, even down to my physical, I put in so much work to look decent. If I didn't put in work to look decent, I would be ugly. Like I would be so ugly. I am not naturally a good-looking person. I some people are low maintenance, some people are high maintenance when it comes to their appearance. I am high maintenance. I have to spend a lot of money on skincare, go to the gym every single day, eat at least decently because if I don't, I won't look good. And I have an obsession with how I look. So that's why I put in so much work. And a lot of people don't and they don't care. And that's why they look how they look because they just don't care. And again, they see the outcome, they don't see the input. And I think that's an important thing to know is that you will look as good as the effort you put into yourself. That's the thing that you really have to put in more effort and you have to recognize if you're low maintenance or you're high maintenance. And again, I'm very high maintenance and also back to the guilt thing, it is a weird sense of guilt when people are comparing me to them or to other people and saying that they don't look as good as me or like stuff like that because again that's just it's weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's weird to be compared to other people because I look better than them or like whatever. It's just it's weird. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Anyways, I've been rambling for a while. Um, these are just some things I wanted to get off my chest. I usually have like three things to talk about, but today it's only like two major points that I wanted to check off my list. These are some things that I've been thinking about, and they're sort of it's again it's a weird thing to talk about because who do I go talk to about me feeling guilt about my privilege? Like how do I even talk about that? And it just again, I think certain times when I say things, they come across as pick me and they come across as like ingenuine, but I'm being so like for real when like I say that it is just a weird thing to navigate. Um, and just honestly, I think too on this topic, it's so crazy how people will look at you differently if your appearance changes. I remember right after surgery, and we were over at a friend's house, and one of my longtime friends had said that I need to be careful because I'm being cocky. And he said this because I looked different, because there was no change in my behavior. I just looked different. And that's the thing. People, and I was talking to my brother about this, and he was like, well, people don't take your confidence as seriously when you're ugly. Like when you're ugly, you kind of just like let people do whatever. But when you look a certain way and you act the same way that you did before, They don't it's not the same, like, people just don't look at you the same, it is how it is, I think that's just how the world works, and I know that I'm still the same person I was before my surgery, I think I'm a better person than I was before surgery, but people still will not look at you the same, they won't talk about you the same because your face changed or your weight changed or whatever it may be, that changes, therefore your perspective and their perspective on you changes. And it's just taking some adapting, I think, but again, I'm over it. I'm just kind of like doing me right now. I'm not really hanging out with anybody. I don't really have friends like that anyways, so I guess it doesn't matter as much, but sometimes it does. I do think about it. I'm like, "Damn, like y'all were supposed to be there with me if I ever made it." And now I don't really have anyone to share it with. Not besides like my family and like maybe two friends of mine, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess ultimately success has always been my goal and that's my goal still. And ever since I was 17, I've been chasing this weird dream or fantasy of fashion or influencing or something. And I've been chasing it so blindly ever since then. Like I'm just still kind of trying to achieve it. And I don't know, and to a certain extent, I feel like I've been picking up little pebbles along the way, so, like, I think I'm kind of going somewhere. The other day, I did go to the club, and I got noticed by 2 guys, they were so sweet. Like, I noticed them when I was in line for the club, and they, like, turned around and looked at me and then looked at their phone, and I kind of sensed that they were maybe talking about my TikTok, but I kinda just brushed it off, I was like, "Yeah, whatever." People stare at me all the time when I'm in public, usually because of how I dress, so I think nothing of it. Unless they come up to me, I don't care. So, whatever. That happened, and then I go in the club eventually, and I'm at the bar with my cousin, and they come over. They're like, "Hey, are you Abraham?" And I was like, "Huh?" And they were like, "Are you like Abraham from TikTok?" I don't know why they say Abraham. My name is not Abraham, by the way. Some people think Abram is short for Abraham. It's not. My name is just Abram. But anyways. I was like ABRCM from TikTok, and they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." They were like, "I didn't know you were from here." I was like, "Yeah, I am." And they were like, "Oh, like we just wanted to come say hi. We follow your TikToks. I love your style or whatever." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And it was so weird. It's the craziest thing ever. And yeah, I got noticed off of TikTok, which is strange, but it was fun. It was like fun to like meet people. I gave them a hug. And I feel like I did pretty well. I had thought about the first time I get noticed in public before or, like, how I would handle it, and I think I handled it a lot better than I thought I would because I'm a very, like, weird person. My friend Emily knows this about me. When I get complimented in public, I'm so weird about it. I always, um I always end up stuttering or, like, I don't know what to say. I'm, like, weird. I'm very, very awkward, and I think I managed it pretty well. Yeah, it was fun. I was like, "Oh, thank you," and then they ended up DMing me on TikTok, and they said they wanted to buy me a shot, but I had left already, and they were sweet. It was fun. It was, like, again, weird thing to, like, be noticed in public, and I only have 20,000 followers on TikTok, so I don't expect to get noticed. I feel like you start getting noticed around 50 or 30K or like 60K, but at 20K being noticed is like so funny and like so weird. I joked about it on my Instagram notes and I said I was gonna hire security ASAP because it's starting to get scary out here, y'all. I feel like this video has been very long, very yapamole. That's a new thing I came up with. Holy yapamole. Get it like holy guacamole, holy yapamole. Well, holy yapamole, that was a lot. That was a lot to go through. Thank you guys for staying if you stayed. I hope to be the kind of person you put on while you clean up your room. Like you put me on your TV while you clean up your room, or like you put me on while you're eating cereal in the morning. You know what I mean? Like a casual. I'm like a casual kind of person. Me when I don't make sense. You know what I mean? A cat like I'm not explaining myself. Anyways, I think you know what I meant. Anyways, that was it. Thank you guys for listening to Abram Has Nothing to Say, or I Have Nothing to Say with Abram. What should I call this? I still don't know. I think I have nothing to say. Right? I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode, this week's journal entry. I had fun talking about it. I'm glad I got that off my chest because I've been wanting to talk about those things for a while. And if nobody watches this, it was therapeutic for me, so at least there's that. See you guys in a couple weeks. My goal when I started posting these videos was to post one every 2 weeks, and I have not been good about that. The last time I posted was like 3 months ago, so I'm gonna try my best. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Bye.